Hi, it's Griffin, and welcome to Other Planets.
Come with me, there's something you should see. Other planets, we are not alone.
So this episode is a Q&A episode. I got a question after my last video that was, what is stimming and how is it similar to anxious hand fiddling? So I'm going to break that down into two parts and answer the what is stimming part first. So stimming is a pretty common part of living with autism. If you don't know someone with autism, but you might have seen it on TV or in a movie or read about it in a book, you've probably seen and heard of stimming. So the important thing to know, first of all, is people with autism are wired to experience the world differently than neurotypical people. Our brains just process sensory input really differently. This means that someone might be very sensitive to light or sound, for example, or might be really undersensitive to certain things. So, for example, food can taste really bland to them. Living in a neurotypical world, though, can make this really exhausting. There's all this sensory information that's overwhelming, and no one else seems to notice or care, and they all seem to be able to sort it out into what signals are important and what aren't really easily. And then at the same time, there's also channels where you're just not getting enough information. And so what this means is you're trying to figure out what's going on in your surroundings. So, is there a car coming? Or what's somebody saying to you? What does their body language or facial expression mean? So there's all these layers of filtering and translating going on. Stimming can be really helpful with dealing with that. It's a term describing repetitive behaviors, so actions that you use to provide your own sensory stimulus. You pick one sensory impulse that you know really well, that makes sense to you, you can focus on it and just repeat it. It's a really meaningful way of kind of engaging with the world to the degree that you want to or that you can, but that's really manageable, that you can make your own. So think of it kind of like a really great remix of a song you like. You've got the original track, which is the world around you coming in, but you've added a beat you love, you're putting your own rhythm into it, your own pace, maybe you've got a really great hook that's a mix of a different song that you like. So it's a way of creating your own headspace, really, and also engaging with the world, but in a way that feels like liberating and makes sense to you. So stimming can be loads of things, really with any sense. So flapping is a common one, rocking, chewing on things, smelling the same scent, rubbing cloth or certain textures, echolalia, which is repeating a word or phrases, just making different sounds, lots of different things. One of my big ones, for example, is chewing. So growing up and stuff, I used to chew on shirts all the time, and I wanted to just chew on things. And my partner got me some actually safe to chew on chew toys, so that's pretty cool. They make different textures and stuff, and some people make stim toys, but also you can just people like to use just things around them in their house and whatever. So that's kind of a quick stimming 101. But the other part of the question was, is stimming similar to anxious hand fiddling? And there's kind of a bigger question there, which is stimming also a mental health coping strategy or just something that people with autism do? And that's a big question. So in terms of the similarities, I would say yes, they are similar. In the sense that with anxious hand fiddling or something like chewing your lip or tapping your foot, that comes from a similar place of there being an overload of impulse in your brain. With anxiety, what the impulse is saying is everything is dangerous and you're going into fight or flight mode, or you're in fight or flight mode. And chemically and neurologically, it's much harder for you to process and analyze a situation because of how your brain is wired in that moment. So in that way, doing something physical to cope with that is a bit similar to how stimming works with people with autism. I think the other similarity that's important is that there's stigma that goes along with these movements or sounds or what have you. So people with OCD also do repetitive movements, and people with anxiety might fidget or pick or fiddle a lot, and people with autism stim. And from the outside, a lot of these might look interchangeable, and people sometimes judge those behaviors, and people judge parents of kids who are doing those behaviors, which for everyone only increases the strain around what's going on for you, and trying to kind of deal with that and then also control this coping thing that you're doing. So those are the similarities, but they are really different things. I think the key defining quality of stimming is that it's about regulating sensory input. Like, that's the primary goal. You're just trying to kind of cope and be part of what's coming in. It's all about that sensory regulation input. So yeah, there are some similarities, but the main difference is that they serve really different purposes for the people who are using those behaviors, even if they look similar. And because the cause is different, you're going to get things with stimming like flapping or shouting things or different stuff that you probably won't get with neurotypical people. The only reason that's important, really, is so that you understand the possibilities of what might be going on when a person with autism stims. They might be experiencing calm, and they're looking for a way to celebrate that, or to show it. They could be experiencing joy, or they could be experiencing distress. Stimming can be tied in with mood and mental health sometimes, but that's really specific to each individual. So it's important not to assume that someone with autism is upset or experiencing anxiety, for example, when they're stimming. Really, when it comes down to it, it's a way of processing the world, and kind of just locating yourself, your mind, and really physically your body in everything that's going on. And just, yeah, grounding yourself. Cool. So I think that's about it. Yeah, it's a big question. Hopefully I touched on most of the main points. But if you have any thoughts or other questions or whatever, feel free to let me know or chat in the comments section or whatever. Cool. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Let's make our own life.
My hair. Ooh. Oh no. Oh, hair. Okay.